In the spirit of respect, authenticity, and reconciliation, the town of Slave Lake honors and acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of Sawridge First Nation within Treaty 8 territory, home to Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have occupied these lands since time immemorial. Councillor Gramick.
Our mics are locked, but I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, we'll work on the mics there. Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Any additions or deletions? I see none. Councillor Chobos first.
I'd like to move to adopt the minutes of the previous council.
Regular meeting, February 25th, 2025.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Councillor Adams.
I move committee of the whole meeting for March 11th, 2025 minutes. Be accepted. As presented. Jeez.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the question those in favor. And that is carried. Okay, we are going to move forward. So we'll start with our public hearing. So the public hearing is open and is held pursuant to sections 230, 606, and 692 of the Municipal Government Act 2000 as amended. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider bylaw 06-2025 to amend the land use district map of the land use bylaw 22-2007 by redistricting plan 5521 KS block 11 lot 1 from C4 neighborhood commercial district to CDC council direct control district. The notice of the hearing was given in writing to the applicant, the assessed landowner or landowners and adjoining landowners and the planning and development officer. The notice of the hearing was advertised on the town's website from February 26, 2025 to March 18, 2025. Presentations are to be brief and to the point. The order for hearing of the presentations will be the planning and development officer, those in favor of the bylaw, those opposed to the bylaw, and any person deemed to be affected who wishes to be heard. All persons giving presentations are to state their name and address at the mic for the public hearing. And just a reminder that questions are allowed from council after each presentation and rebuttal can be given from the persons giving presentations. And with that, we'll start with the planning and development officer.
Good evening, your worship and members of council. I'm presenting on behalf of the Planning and Development Department. So the purpose of this report is for council to hold the required public hearing for bylaw number 6, 2025. The applicant and landowner are CDP Home Care and Disability Services and Incorporated, and the address is 401 3rd Avenue Northeast. The subject lands are proposed to be rezoned from C4 neighborhood commercial to CDC council direct control to facilitate the development of a residential care facility. Given the property's location within a residential neighborhood, the CDC council direct control district designation provides council with the ability to oversee both current and future development in a manner that aligns with community planning objectives. In accordance with section 230 subsection 1 of the Municipal Government Act, Town Council must give bylaw 06-2025 first reading and hold the required public hearing prior to passing a resolution. In accordance with the municipal land use plan map for the municipal development plan, the subject lands maintain a residential and general urban land use designation, and as such, an amendment to the MDP is not required. In accordance with the land use district map of the land use bylaw number 22-2007, the subject lands maintain a C4 neighborhood commercial districting, and as such requires an amendment to allow a residential care facility. In accordance with section 111 of the land use bylaw, the general purpose of the CDC council direct control district is to provide for developments that could not be effectively accommodated under any other land use district because of unique characteristics, necessity for innovative ideas, or unusual site constraints as determined by council. All development must comply with the provisions of any statutory plan affecting the land proposed to be developed, and all land use applications shall be regulated by appropriate development standards as deemed necessary by council. The CDC district has no list of permitted or discretionary uses. The Municipal Planning Commission has reviewed this application at its February 2025 meeting and had no concerns and indicated that they supported bylaw number 6, 2025. The public hearing was advertised on the Town of Slave Lake website and social media pages, as well as referral letters were sent to adjacent property owners. Bylaw number 6, 2025 amends the land use district map of the land use bylaw by rezoning Lot 1, Block 11, Plan 5521 KS, located at 401 3rd Ave Northeast, from C4 Neighborhood Commercial to CDC Council Direct Control District. Over the past 2 years, the property has been subject to 2 rezoning applications. One was unsuccessful and one was successful. The initial application sought to rezone the lands to a C1 commercial mixed-use district, but was not approved. Subsequently, a second application successfully rezoned the property from an R1 standard detached residential district to a C4 neighborhood commercial district. Given that the property has operated as commercial establishment for many years, it was necessary to align its zoning designation accordingly. However, at the time, council expressed concerns that a C1 commercial mixed-use district would permit more intensive uses that could impact the surrounding residential area. As a result, the C4 neighborhood commercial district was deemed a more appropriate designation, allowing for continued commercial use while mitigating potential impacts on the residential neighborhood. The property has since changed ownership, and the current owner, who is also the applicant for this amendment, operates a home-based care service, providing support to clients in their residences. At present, the business maintains office operations at the location. However, the owner seeks to expand its use to establish a residential care facility for infirm patients. This facility would offer 24/7 on-site care and function as a nursing home. As this type of use is not permitted within the C4 neighborhood commercial district, the landowner has submitted an application to amend the land use bylaw. Currently, nursing homes are only permitted within the institutional district, which is not consistent with the adjacent residential zoning. While the proposed use as a residential nursing home may be appropriate for the site, the primary consideration is whether the existing zoning designation supports this type of development. The planning department did consider redesignating the lot to the institutional district. However, it ultimately determined that this would not be the most appropriate designation. Many of the other uses permitted within the institutional district were deemed incompatible with the surrounding residential neighborhoods, making it an impractical zoning classification for the property. The CDC Council Direct Control District is different from other land use districts in that it allows council to establish the conditions for approval of a development. Further, there is no appeal to the conditions imposed by council in the CDC district, and as such, it provides council greater flexibility when approving applications. Typically, municipalities would and should follow the policies and regulations in their statutory plans. However, there are situations such as this one where the CDC zoning would provide council with more flexibility that otherwise would not be available under other land use districts. By designating the site as council direct control, council can ensure that development is compatible with the surrounding area while maintaining flexibility for potential future uses consistent with sound planning principles. The public hearing was advertised on the Town of Slave Lake's website and social media pages. In addition, referral letters were sent out to adjacent property owners, and I'll reserve my recommendation for later in the meeting. Any questions?
I just went around what you were stating as far as institutional not being applicable. What in institutional put up the flag for you?
One of the uses in institutional is a shelter permanent. And if it would be permitted, it would be a use that would be allowed in an institutional district. And one of the reasons that our shelters have faced opposition about being in residential neighborhoods.
I thought the sheltered permanent was discretionary use.
It is discretionary, so it would still go to MPC and there would still be appeal processes and everything, but it would still have the ability to be applied for there. Anything else?
All forward, anyone in favor of the bylaw, wishes to speak? Yeah, you can speak through and state your name and address for the mic for the public hearing. Have a seat.
Okay.
And if you can speak into the mic, that'd be great.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Good evening, everybody. My name is Monette Pangilinan, address 401 3rd Avenue Northeast, Slave Lake, Alberta. I I represent CDP. CDP is the name of our company. CDP's goal is to provide exceptional, compassionate, person-centered care services that enhance the quality of life for individuals, families, and the community. I have all the handouts, I guess.
You have them, thank you.
Thank you. So right now, we are operating as CDP Home Care and Disability Services, Inc. And we are looking forward opening CDP homes. But first, I want to introduce you to CDP Home Care and Disability Services. CDP Home Care and Disability Services, Inc. is a home care agency that has been serving Edmonton since 2020. Now we are serving Slave Lake and Northern Alberta. Our office opened March 3rd, 2025. Our team of highly skilled professionals includes licensed practical nurses, healthcare aides, disability support workers, personal, home, and community support workers. Coming soon will be addition of allied health services such as physiotherapists, occupational therapists, social worker, and other allied health professions. CDP Home Care specializes in supporting individuals of all ages with disabilities, ensuring they receive personalized care, comfort, and dignity tailored to their unique needs. Home care services with CDP Home Care are being provided at the client's own residences. Why we need the rezoning approval? Some of it were mentioned by Joanna already. Thank you. CDP Home Care have seen and experienced the need of the community from the home care perspective. That is why we are looking forward opening CDP homes. CDP Home Care and Disability Services, Inc. owns the land or property at 401 3rd Avenue Northeast, Slave Lake. Land is currently zoned C4, Neighborhood Commercial. CDP land needs rezoning to council direct control to facilitate the development of CDP homes. What is CDP Homes? CDP Homes will be a 24/7 skilled nursing facility, nursing home, and palliative care facility. CDP Homes will hold 3 licenses to account for the different types of facility-based or supportive living services provided. 3 types of licenses are Type A, Type B, and Type C. CDP Homes will hold Type A, which are skilled nursing for complex medical needs or the long-term care. Type B clients for the nursing home for various levels of medical care, and we're gonna add on respite care. And Type C, palliative and end-of-life care. 5 beds will be allotted to house Type A, 6 beds will be allotted to house Type B, and 2 beds for respite, 5 beds for Type C, total of 18 beds. Development permit has been submitted and will be edited as the changes are needed. Target date of opening, 3 to 4 months for phase 1, which is the palliative Type C, 6 to 12 months for phase 2, which is the Type A, 12 to 18 months phase 3, which are the Type B, and then the completion date is September 2026. CDP provides or will provide accommodation and meals, on-site housekeeping and laundry services, offers nursing and palliative care options for those requiring 24/7 assistance, create a safe, inclusive, and comfortable environment for vulnerable residents, case management, professional nursing, rehabilitation therapy, and other consultative services provided on-site by facility, recreation and outdoor activities, ensuring security and high-quality facility. We are also looking forward providing CDP transport, a wheelchair-accessible transportation for residents, families, and community. CDP transport license application will be done separately. How can CDP Homes help the community? Number 1, reduces hospital burden by offering local community-based facility to help reduce healthcare pressure, and it will help to fill in the gap for population or people with disabilities of all ages that doesn't fit the mandate eligibility for long-term care and other facilities in town. CDP Homes will serve clients with brain injuries, neurovascular conditions, and other medical conditions that require long-term healthcare needs. CDP Homes will collaborate with other organizations that caters to conditions I mentioned above. Second, create employment. Generate local job opportunities in healthcare, caregiving, administration, and facility maintenance. Provide training programs and career development for home care professionals. We will collaborate to universities or colleges regarding practicum and on-the-job training. Boost the local economy by creating sustainable jobs in the health and community service sector. Third benefit of CDP Home, economic growth. CDP Homes will be hiring different professionals all over the world, and we have started like some of the process of hiring internationally will minimize staffing shortages in town. Professionals that will work and live in Slave Lake together with their families, families that will engage in community activities, use public facilities, support local businesses and entrepreneurs, and contribute to town taxes. And the fourth benefit is support. Support aging resident and individuals with disabilities, provides peace of mind to families knowing their loved ones are safe, improve community well-being. CDP Homes will support or set up charity, provide sponsorship to local town needs or organizations. Possible concerns that the town will be saying, or concerns that will be brought up. First one is competition. CDP Homes will not be competing with other facilities in town. In fact, we will be helping reduce hospital burden by having a local 24/7 facility that allows more personalized community-based care. Will cater to clients that doesn't qualify in facilities in town. Impact on number 2, impact on surrounding neighborhood. CDP Homes will have low impact of disturbance due to minimal noise, less traffic, and operational disruptions. Property also has a big parking lot. Third possible concern, peace and safety of neighbors or the neighborhood. CDP Homes will have secured entry system, emergency call buttons, security cameras, and CCTV monitoring to keep residents and neighbors safe. Property will also have a fence enclosure. Fourth concern, possible concern, safety of residents. We will have trained security personnel 24/7. We'll have inclusive care policies that ensure all residents of all backgrounds and needs are treated with dignity and respect. Residents will have access to modern medical equipments, well-furnished rooms, and hygienic, comfortable living space. Strict health and safety protocols will be followed, including infection control, emergency preparedness, and regular facility maintenance. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening, unless you have any questions.
Any questions from council?
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
very
much.
Is there anyone else in favor of the bylaw that wishes to speak? Going once, going twice. Those opposed to the bylaw that wish to speak? Okay, and any person deemed to be affected who wishes to be heard? Okay, as I see none, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Then the report comes later under reports. So now we'll go into our delegations. We have the Alberta Forest Products Association. You want to come up to the mic?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor, Board, and Council for sharing your time with me today. If we haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Aspen Dudzik, and I'm the Director of Communications at the Alberta Forest Products Association. And before we begin, I'd really like to thank Ken Vanderwell and Mike Hare from Vanderwell for joining me, as well as Laura Brandon from Work Wild. For those who might not be familiar with my organization, the Alberta Forest Products Association represents forest product manufacturing companies across the province that produce everything from lumber. Oh, we're a little bit ahead if you could go back. Thank you. Produce anything from lumber and pulp to bioenergy and engineered wood products. And today I want to talk to you about some of the most pressing trade challenges that are facing our industry today. Specifically, rising softwood lumber duties, US trade barriers, and global trade competition, and what we can do together to safeguard the future of Alberta's forest industry. The stakes are high. We know that this is a sector that contributes significantly to the economy, yet it is increasingly at risk due to factors beyond our control, like tariffs, regulatory hurdles, and a shifting global trade landscape. So I'm hoping that today we can discuss some of the ways that we can mitigate these risks. Just to paint a picture of how important the sector is to the provincial economy, we know that the industry supports over 30,000 jobs across the province, including 1,000 full-time jobs right here in the town of Slave Lake, as well as supporting jobs in many other rural areas where forestry is a primary employer. In addition to providing direct employment, forestry contributes to transportation, construction, engineering, and manufacturing, creating a ripple effect across multiple sectors. Approximately 50% of Alberta's forest products are exported to the US, making trade a really key component to the success of our industry. And the rising trade barriers are threatening our ability to compete and grow as an industry. And these factors are risking the livelihood of communities just like Slave Lake. So to unpack exactly what these trade barriers are and what tariffs look like on Canadian softwood lumber, right now, softwood lumber duties are sitting at around 14%, and they're expected to reach nearly 30% this fall. Of course, Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods. So this has our forest industry staring down the barrel of a cumulative 55% tax on a market that takes almost 50% of our product in Alberta. So this is a significant concern for us. Just as well, the forest sector at large is really highly integrated. So if a lumber mill were to fall, this has significant impacts for a local pulp mill and vice versa. Pulp has also historically been a free traded product and is a sector with really thin margins. So this is something that we're paying attention to, and the impacts of these tariffs are far reaching and a big concern for the entire sector. But of course, I don't want to be all doom and gloom for our time here. I want to talk about some of the solutions that we would propose and really identify that the Alberta government can and should play a critical role in ensuring that our sector remains strong despite these challenges. Naturally, one of the most important steps is strong advocacy at the federal and international levels. Alberta needs to push back against these unfair trade practices and communicate exactly why these tariffs hurt both Canadians and Americans. Simply put, lumber duties are a tax on the US consumer. The US housing market does not have enough domestic lumber to meet their needs, and they need Canadian lumber to keep prices stable. Regardless of tariffs, they will continue to depend on our product. Our sector also supports thousands of American jobs. Pulp from Alberta, as an example, is a key input in the paper and manufacturing industry in the US. The forest industry, of course, also buys many products that are made in the US, including machinery, trucks, resin for wood panels, and technologies. So by working closely with the federal government, Alberta must push for fair and long-term resolution to the softwood lumber dispute. But trade barriers are only one part of the challenge. Domestic policies are also impacting our ability to compete. For an example, in British Columbia, their high regulatory costs have led to mill closures and job losses all across the province. Right now, Alberta is a leader in forestry competitiveness, but we need to ensure that this continues to be a focus and we can continue to enable that competitiveness. Timber dues and streamlined permitting will help competitive timber dues. So Ken and Mike, don't get mad at me for that one. And streamlined permitting will help mills operate efficiently and remain viable. And keeping costs manageable will protect jobs and ensure continued investment in Alberta's forest sector. This picture might be familiar to you. One way to counteract trade uncertainty is to boost domestic demand, and encouraging more construction with Alberta-grown and Alberta-manufactured wood can reduce our reliance on exports. A Build with Alberta Wood Act could be a powerful tool to incentivize local use, and BC and Quebec have both implemented similar programs already with lots of success. There's no reason that Alberta can't do the same. Promoting mass timber construction and engineered wood products can drive innovation and create new markets for Alberta lumber. As an example, this is the Brock Commons building in BC. It's an 18-story student housing building for the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. There's no reason that Alberta can't build like this too. Since 2016, $10 billion in duty deposits have been held by the US Treasury, $10 billion. These are funds that rightfully belong to Canadian producers. The financial strain caused by this weakens mills, limits investments, and threatens jobs. A federal financial backstop could provide much needed relief, helping mills weather this crisis until a long-term resolution is reached. Alberta must push the federal government to act, ensuring that our industry gets the support that it needs to remain competitive and resilient. We also need to continue to look beyond the US and aggressively pursue new trade opportunities. There are growth markets like India, the Philippines, China, Japan, and South Korea that offer significant potential for our sector, and Alberta should actively be marketing its forestry products abroad and supporting industry participation in trade missions and international partnerships. A diversified market approach reduces our vulnerability to the US trade policies and strengthens our long-term resilience. But to do this, we need to make sure that we have reliable transportation of our product. We need to be able to get it to those other markets. That's why the AFPA and our members are supporters of the Community Rail Advocacy Alliance, and where the voices of participating municipalities have been able to engage with the CRA, it's been especially valuable in advancing those advocacy efforts. Lastly, to remain competitive, we need innovation and investment in value-added forestry products. A forestry manufacturing tax credit would encourage companies to invest in new technologies and products. And this could support initiatives like bioenergy, engineered wood, and high-tech forestry solutions that can help secure Alberta's place as a leader in sustainable forestry. This tax credit has actually already been proposed, but now is the time for action. Alberta's forest industry is strong, but we're facing real challenges that require immediate action. With strong advocacy, smart policy decisions, and continued support from municipalities, we can overcome these challenges and secure a prosperous future. We're asking for you folks to send a letter to the Premier alongside advocacy to the local MP so we can ensure that future together. Thank you so much for your time. I'd be happy to take any questions or direct them to the experts behind me.
Councillor Hughes.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Aspen. I was curious about one thing, the Build with Alberta Wood Act. Have you guys been lobbying provincially for that, or like what steps are you at in that one?
Yeah, so we work with a program connected to the Alberta Forest Products Association called Woodworks Alberta. And so we have been working with the provincial government to socialize this idea, as well as working with other municipalities across the province.
Okay. Thank you. And for the letter that you're requesting, do you guys have a particular template or anything already?
We can definitely share a template with you, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anything further? I'd say great presentation, and we'll discuss with council. Actually, if we'd like to see a template first, can we get that?
Yep.
Just to summarize some of the issues regarding trade barriers. You've done a great presentation. I really appreciate that, and bringing some of the larger economic issues in a relatable level to Slave Lake. So that was fantastic. So great job on that. And yeah, if you can send over a template, then we can look at it with correspondence, and that'd be great.
Absolutely, will do so. Thank you, Mayor Ward. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Callan.
I'd make a motion to accept the delegation report as information.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor. And we'll move to our next delegation, the Eastern Alberta Regional Victim Services. You can come forward.
Hi,
Hi.
I am Melody Littell. I'm the Director of Operations for Eastern Alberta Regional Victim Services.
I'm Cheyenne. I am the Assistant Director of Operations for Eastern Alberta Regional Victim Serving Society. I cover 10 detachments in the north, which includes the Slave Lake RCMP detachment area.
We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we operate in Eastern Alberta District is the traditional and ancestral territory of many Indigenous peoples. This includes Cree, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and Métis peoples who have lived and cared on this land for generations. We recognize the deep historical significance and cultural connections that these nations have to the land. We are committed to fostering relationships built on respect, understanding, reconciliation as we continue to serve all communities within the region. We honor the resilience and strength of the Indigenous people and their ongoing contributions to the community. As part of the work with victim services in partnership with RCMP and community agencies, we strive to support all individuals, recognizing the importance of equity, healing, and justice for all. Our mission is all about supporting individuals who have been victimized by crime or experienced significant tragedy. We focus on providing the best possible service during the aftermath of these events, and while individuals navigate the complexities of the criminal justice process. It is our goal to ensure that they receive care and support they deserve during these challenging times. For our vision, we aim to ensure that victims of crime and tragedy have access to resources, information, and support they need. It's critical for their safety, empowerment, and overall well-being. We want to help them regain control and work towards restoring their sense of stability and peace. Our core values guide everything we do. First, we are committed to delivering our services with compassion and empathy, always ensuring we respond to those in need in a timely and thoughtful manner. Privacy and confidentiality are of the utmost importance. We prioritize safeguarding the personal information of our clients and ensure that all interactions and the work we do maintain the highest level of discretion. We believe in treating everyone with respect and dignity, and we aim to be open and non-judgmental in our approach. It is essential that every interaction with our clients and community members fosters trust and a sense of being heard. Lastly, we are deeply committed to equitable treatment. This means we value fairness and strive to embrace diversity and inclusion for all individuals, whether they are staff, clients, volunteers, or community members. It's a little hard to see, but that is the map of the Eastern Alberta District. We do not provide supports to Wood Buffalo or Fort Chip on the top, or Lloyd, which is sort of missing on the edge there. But above the line is what Cheyenne covers. Below the line is what our South Subregion Assistant Director of Operations, Doris Pindrock, covers. So we have listed the designations between the north and the south. So there's 10 in the north and 14 in the south. It's a great deal of territory. So our staffing structure includes a central office location in St. Paul that houses the core administration staff. This group takes care of the overhead operations such as grants, partnerships with the RCMPK division, Government of Alberta, payroll, setting structures and policy, managing the central referral and intake process, and providing supports to the navigators on the ground as they need. Court and support navigators are located in local detachments, local RCMP detachments, and are there to provide the day-to-day services to clients and communities. We are always looking for volunteer advocates in our communities, people who wish to provide support in different ways. We have call-out advocates. These are the people who attend crisis situations and provide emotional support and referrals in the moment. There's opening for advocates to provide court support for clients in the criminal justice system. And we have community advocates, and they're the ones that are willing to go out and attend events and showcase the services we provide. We have a no wrong door approach that ensures anyone seeking assistance, whether through referral or other means, will never be turned away if they are not immediately eligible for our services. Instead, we provide support by connecting them to the right resource. If someone isn't eligible for our services, we don't simply leave them without help. With their consent, we will facilitate a warm handoff to the appropriate service provider. And so that process involves 2 steps: identifying the right service provider and connecting the person with a service provider. The goal is to ensure no one falls through the cracks and that everyone receives the help they need, regardless of where they first seek assistance. Our RVSS falls into two service categories. Do you want me to read each one of these? Okay, our general support services. You'd think after 7, we'd have this figured out. Our general support services are designed to provide a comprehensive range of assistance to victims of crime and individuals who have experienced tragic circumstances. We begin by providing information about the various programs and services available to them, ensuring that they are aware of all the resources at their disposal. This includes a needs assessment, which helps us better understand the situation and facilitate the access to the additional services. These services may include a community program, government services, or culturally specific agencies, including those for Indigenous populations. We also assist in providing referrals to the Victims Assistance Program, which offers specialized support. In addition, we help individuals in completing the applications and forms, guiding them through the sometimes complex process. When it comes to safety planning, our role is to assist where needed. However, it's important to note that RCMP members are responsible for leading all safety planning activities for victims of crime, as the RVSS can support the process, but only in an assisting role as appropriate. Lastly, we offer emotional support and debriefing to help individuals in the aftermath of crime or tragedies they've experienced. However, our navigators and advocates are not counselors. Our criminal justice navigation services are designed to help victims understand and navigate the criminal justice system with greater ease and support. We begin by providing information about victims' rights and the Victims of Crime Protocol, which helps ensure individuals understand their entitlements and protections available to them through the process in accordance with legislation. We also offer guidance on how the criminal justice system works, including court procedures and explaining the victim's role in the court process. For those eligible, we provide information on victim impact statements, statements of restitution, and community impact statements, helping victims understand how their voices can be heard in the justice system. We also support victims with court updates and explanations of outcomes in their cases. Additionally, we offer court preparation services to ensure they are ready for what to expect, and we provide court accompany to support them during the proceedings. Our services also involve navigation and coordination of the justice system personnel, such as Crown prosecution, helping victims connect with the right people for their needs. We assist in canvassing testimonial aids and any other accommodation requirements that may be necessary to ensure victims can fully participate in the court process. Finally, we offer emotional support and court debriefing after the proceedings to help victims process their experience and ensure they have the support they need. This is our eligibility criteria. So we operate in an in and out of scope eligibility. What you are currently looking at is the eligibility of in-scope services. This is broken down into criminal, undetermined, and tragic circumstances. Criminal matters may consist of domestic violence, sexual assault, homicide, property theft, etc. Undetermined matters are ongoing criminal investigations where it cannot be determined if the incident was criminal at the time of referral. Examples of this can be a motor vehicle collision under investigation, as they often require an analyst, which is a specific position within the RCMP, to come out and analyze the scene, and this could be a long process. Finally, would be tragic circumstances, which includes accidental death, sudden and unexpected deaths, and next of kin notifications. We provide services and supports to the files that are under investigation, such as motor vehicle accidents and fires. If charges are laid, we will continue to provide supports through the justice system journey. If there are no charges laid, this is where the no wrong door approach would come in, and we would hand those people over to the specific supports that they would require. These are the listed supports that we know we do not, these are the listed items we no longer support, or no, we do not support. We can direct clients to where to find the forms for civil issues such as divorce, separation, parenting, mental health, restraining orders, or peace bonds. We are not lawyers, so we cannot give legal advice and we cannot fill in forms for our clients. Natural disaster supports are out of our scope. Every community has a disaster plan. Normally, we are not involved or tagged in that disaster plan. And matters involving CFS or mental health are out of scope and we will not attend. At this time, we're looking to create working arrangements with organizations who have trauma support dogs that would be willing to attend court dates and when necessary, when statements are given. We work with Alberta Supports and other community agencies to provide transportation and other basic needs coverage in crisis situations. We are not counselors. Our staff is not equipped to do group incident debriefing. We have information on organizations that will provide that specific training or that specific resource. We do not provide educational programming, but we do have a list of agencies that specialize in service areas such as healthy relationships that we will gladly make the referral for you. Here's our information for community referrals. We accept referrals from community agencies, and we are working to develop close working relationships in all of our communities so that our partnering agencies have our information. Our forms can be accessed at the info@irvs.ca by request. So if any agency out there wants to make a referral, all they have to do is ask. Eastern Alberta Regional Victim Services provides after-hour on-call response. We have one number that has been provided to all our RCMP detachments. Officers can phone that number and reach a navigator on call who can help determine the eligibility of the call, provide information and help to the officer, and when necessary and when available, dispatch a support person. We have a two-tiered system for after-hours response. In our system, the tier 1 answers the call. This is a staff member. They will answer the call, determine if it meets the eligibility, and work with the officer to either dispatch response in the area if it's available, or help the officer over the phone. So that might include helping them get a hotel room or transportation for someone who's in need, and they will work with the officer to do that. Our tier 2 are the people who have volunteered to go out in person in the different areas, and this can be both staff or volunteer advocates. They've signed up on a schedule that tier 1 can access, and they are ready to go when they're needed. But to be clear, we do not have tier 2 coverage in all our areas all the time. We will not respond if the victim is incapacitated by drugs or alcohol, if the victim is experiencing a psychotic episode, if the offender is still at the crime scene, if the location is not secured or may be unsafe, so the officer won't be present when our staff arrives. If there's weapons, if the offender's out there and has weapons, if it's really inclement weather or the scene is contaminated. Unsafe conditions existing, such as responding to a motor vehicle accident on the side of a road in the dark with no lighting, we wouldn't send someone to even. And that is us in a nutshell. Do you have any questions? That's a lot to take in.
There's very detailed. Appreciate that, Councillor Adams.
Just one quick question in what you were saying there. You don't have tier 2 coverage in all the areas. What is it like here?
Here's a little bit more minimal. So we have 2 navigators in-house in Slave Lake that are full-time. One is actually here with us. Only one of them is able, well, both are able to attend. One of ours has just started, so she's still in her initial training and things like that. So she is gaining that on the ground support and experience in attending those call outs. So right now it is just those 2 individuals. We do not have any volunteer advocates for the Slave Lake area currently. So it would be just those 2. They are mandated to 1 weekend every month. So there's at least a minimum of 2 Thursday to Sunday blocks in Slave Lake that are covered, and they are welcome to sign up for other shifts as well. So if they do choose to sign up and they get called out and we reach that certain number of hours, I will pull them off the schedule so that they can obviously recoup and be able to take some time to rest. So it is safe for them to get back out on the road if needed. But it is really at their disposal of how much they want to sign up. But at this time, there hasn't been a huge need either for call out situations in the Slave Lake area. So right now it's just the 2. No.
We have left volunteer advocate forms, sign up forms.
I was, that was going to be my question. I was going to ask, how can municipalities such as ours or other municipalities in your region, how have they collaborated now that we've moved to this regional model from having it
Since
more
we
separate?
we have just finished our first quarter and are only near the end of our second. We are 6 months operational. So we are asking that to help us promote our services, that we are here, that we still have services to offer. If you can promote that we are looking for advocates in your communities.
Okay.
That would be so
Joe
helpful.
from the paper is furiously writing this down.
Perfect.
So
I've left business cards too, so you can ask for.
that's really good to know that the services are available and that we do have 2 local navigators, and from just reiterating, you're asking for volunteers.
We
And-
are. We came up early in the first quarter and did a women's meeting.
Mhm.
And where we recruited, we've been to at least 1 or 2 other events. I was at one of those events. I think I gave out 20 applications.
Okay.
But I'm not getting applications back.
Okay.
So, and we have, so an emergency advocate is the one that would go out to scene.
Okay.
We can also, we're looking for court advocates. So someone who would attend court with our victims and be there to provide the emotional support.
Mhm.
And community advocates, the people that like to go out and work the tables and promote what we do and
Fantastic.
do events.
No, we appreciate that, and very detailed presentation, and thank you guys for coming. Anything further from council?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Mr. Gramlich,
Motion to accept the delegation report as information.
any further discussion? Called question, those in favor, and that is carried. Next up, our Staff Sergeant Casey Bruins, if you want to take.
Got a PowerPoint up there. I'll just wait for it to get pulled up there. Right on. Perfect. So this is the Q3 report for our detachment, municipal detachment. So you can go to the next slide there. So just a quick agenda. Just go through our detachment's APP goals and status currently, as well as our Q3 stats from our operational security branch. Some recent investigations, some detachment specific equipment and staffing updates, and some questions and answers after that. You can go to the next slide. So just our priority plan goals for this year. First one was crime reduction, targeting property crime. You can kind of see some areas where we are at year to date. So proactive hotspot patrols, 142, proactive industrial area patrols, 149, proactive patrols in our rural areas, 161, and we have 1 bait item deployment this year so far. The second part of that was enhancing public confidence and engagement. So the first part of that was town hall meetings, which are either formal ones or coffee with the cops. So we're at 11 year to date. The last one was in Smith in our MD. The second part of that was interactions with the community groups, schools, sporting groups. So those are, we're at 44 of those year to date. Those don't include just regular monthly school visits that our members are assigned. Those are just additional ones. The third part of that was media briefs, either monthly media briefs, which I started this year, or investigation specific media briefs. So we're at 25 of those year to date, which was well over the goal, what I had said at the beginning of the year. The last was just assisting with the setting up a COP program, which was done earlier in the year as well. The last part of that was targeting prolific offenders. We've had 76 proactive interactions with our prolific offenders here in Slave Lake. And of that, we've executed 116 warrants on them this is just for the first 3 quarters of the year, so ending in December. You can go to the next slide. I know these numbers are kind of tough to read. I'll just highlight just a couple things on this and the next one. So this one, I know property crime is always an issue. So 2023 to 2024, it's down 14% total. And the only thing I found interesting was it's down 1% from 2020, which was COVID year, which is nice to see. A couple more things on the next slide, if you can go there. So on this one, again, a lot more things. It's a really small font up there, and I get that. Things I'd like to highlight: roadside suspensions are up dramatically, which I like to see, and provincial traffic stats are also up by a good margin. Down near the bottom are suspicious persons files from last year to this year are up 119%. And I've been pushing for that. I want people to call for that, and on one of the next slides here, that'll come to fruition. So these are just 3 recent investigations I'll talk about, all within the last 2 months. So the first one was an assault, mischief, and a fail to comply. Our members were called to a suspect kicking a door, yelling and assaulting someone at a local business. Members attended and determined the suspect to be someone very familiar with residents and detachment members. The suspect was arrested, and we ran checks which showed he was bound by 2 separate court orders. A bail hearing was held for the suspect who did not speak to bail, and that matter is still before the courts. I'll note with that person, they had 13 prior criminal code convictions and has been the subject of complaint of 29 files in the last 2 years. That's just since February of 2023. Second file, again, these are all within the last 2 months. We had a call of a stolen vehicle at a business here in Slave Lake. The vehicle was stolen from the Sawridge First Nation. My members obtained video from the business and determined that the suspect to be a prolific offender that usually resides in the town or hamlet of Smith. The members made proactive patrols in known areas in town and the suspect frequented, and we were able to locate and arrest the suspect. That suspect was also well known to local residents in both the Slave Lake and the Smith area. The suspect has 20 prior criminal code convictions and has been the subject of a complaint of 33 files to the RCMP in the last 2 years. Go to the next one. The last investigation I'll note, the members received a report of a suspicious vehicle, which is what I just referred to a minute ago, why we love those calls. The members attended and located 2 suspects inside the vehicle, and through their investigation, members determined the vehicle was stolen. Both suspects were arrested and subsequently released, and that matter is still before the courts. Go to the next slide there. So in terms of those 2 suspects, the first one had 14 prior criminal code convictions and was the subject of a complaint of 39 files in the last 2 years. The other party had 4 prior criminal convictions and was the subject of a complaint of 10 files in the last 2 years. Again, these 3 files are just within the last 2 months of the year. So just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff we're dealing with. Just a staffing update for our detachment. I'll sum it up. All the spots are filled. We have a couple people due out. 4 people actually in the next couple of months. We've had 3 recruits since December, which I've never seen so frequently before. The last one I'll note is a big hunter and fisher and is really enjoying our area. So hopefully they stick around for quite a while. A couple other notable items. So the last few months, I've been pushing out media releases and investigation-specific media releases. I've been sharing them online with the town, so that's going to continue going forward. I'll just note publicly here, we do have now a detachment Facebook page. We're in the beginning stages of implementing that and pushing that out as much as we possibly can. So look for more info on that in the next couple of weeks. The second part, the Westlock traffic positions I've heard through the grapevine are vacant. Our old commanding officer of the RCMP here in Alberta sent a letter to the old mayor saying that he was going to bring that unit back when those spots were open and there was space for them. So I've heard through the grapevine those spots are open. So I formally sent that request in saying, even though there's no new building yet, we do have space available for them. So hopefully things will happen with that. Those decisions are at the upper levels of the management there in K Division. So any updates I have on that, I'll share with you when I get them. Next slide there. Lastly, I'll note as of February 21st, all our members here in Slave Lake have body cams. Instead of answering questions on how their usage, the RCMP's put out a 2.5-minute video just about that explains most of them. I tried to embed it in a PowerPoint the first time ever. So it's on the next slide. I don't know what it'll play. Hopefully it will. Okay, there we go. Everybody ready? think that's the end. So that should answer, I found that with, I know our media team pushes that out. That should answer almost every question in relation to that. I do have mine on, obviously it's flashing green, so it's not recording. But all of our members have them. I'm optimistic that, if something pops up, I'll be able to pull it up. If someone had a complaint such as, I can pull it up right away and I can review it with them. Hopefully nip that in the bud right off the hop. So that was it for me. I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Counselor Hughes?
Just wanted to make a comment saying, I love the targeting the prolific offenders. Please keep that up. Same with the communication strategy that you guys have been doing. I think that's been much better from coming from you guys to the public. Everyone feels a little bit more informed. So I do hope you continue that. And I'm happy to hear about the Facebook page too. That's a great path forward. And I was curious, I had one question about, the traffic position, the traffic division. How many members or positions would that bring if that was something that worked out here?
So it's 3 positions, 2 constables and 1 corporal.
2 constables and 1 corporal.
So
Okay.
their sergeant who would be in charge of that unit is actually based out of Westlock.
Right.
It's just kind of a section of that unit that was here before the fire
Yeah.
and left after the wildfire in 2011.
Okay. And they'd strictly just be on traffic in the region?
Provincial traffic unit. They'll do traffic in town and on our highways.
Okay.
So
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Casey.
Counselor Adams?
You touched on the bait item. Was it successful in our area?
the prior one was not. We have some stuff, I won't get into details that
No.
we're working on now, different items. So the prior one was not stolen. But there's a large amount of items now. There used to be just 1 or 2. Now there's some smaller things that we're strategically going to work on. But yeah, we are working on another one here in the near future.
And then I guess I had a comment along the recent files summary. I appreciate that. And I know I'm naive, I guess, but that surprises me that those numbers are on one individual. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like I like to put those numbers out there because I like people to see, you know, like with the one person, 39 calls to us in the last 2 years, like should be kind of shocking, right? So.
Yeah, I appreciate the statistics as well. The over 80 complaint files in 2 years for 3 individuals. That's a lot. And I think that highlights the need, as it was set in the priority last year from ourselves and the MD, to continue the work with the crime reduction unit and the prolific offenders. Obviously, those are the individuals that are causing regular havoc in the community, and that focused approach, I think, just by sheer volume of file numbers indicates that we would be headed in the right direction with that. So appreciate the focus there. Anything further from council? Okay, thank you, Casey. Appreciate
Okay,
your time.
perfect. Thank you, guys.
Councillor Choba.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the quarterly report from the RCMP as information.
Call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. And can we have a 5-minute break, please? Thank you. And then we'll move into a new business. Okay, we'll continue on with the report regarding the amendment to the land use bylaw 22/2007.
Good evening, council and your worship and members of council. The purpose of this report is for council to consider bylaw number 6, 2025 for second and third reading. The applicant is CDP Home Care, as well as they are the landowner for 401 Third Ave Northeast. And this is for the subject lands are being proposed to be rezoned from C4 neighborhood commercial to CDC council direct control to facilitate the development of a residential care facility. Given the property's location within a residential neighborhood, the CDC council direct control designation provides council with the ability to oversee both current and future development in a manner that aligns with community planning objectives. I'm going to move on to my recommendation. So the property has already been operating as a commercial-based property for many years within the town of Slave Lake. The landowner currently is providing home care services in the community, and the proposed amendment would allow for the logical progression of its services rather than introducing an entirely new or unrelated use. And the establishment of a residential care facility would provide a valuable service to the community by offering 24/7 care for infirm patients, addressing a growing need for accessible healthcare and senior care options within the municipality. While the C4 neighborhood commercial district does not currently permit a nursing home, this type of facility is generally low impact compared to other commercial uses. Unlike high traffic businesses, a residential care facility would have minimal noise, traffic, and operational disruptions to surrounding residential properties. Rezoning to an institutional district was considered, but ultimately deemed inappropriate due to other permitted uses that could be disruptive to nearby homes, other discretionary uses. Rather than broadening the scope of potential developments, this amendment offers a site-specific solution that balances both the applicant's needs and the neighborhood compatibility. The planning department supports this application and feels that it ensures that commercial and residential needs are balanced while maintaining the character of the neighborhood, and recommends that council proceed with the second and third reading for bylaw 6, 2025.
Open the floor to council. Councillor Adams.
I guess I'll start off by saying that I like the idea and the use that you're doing. It does fit that area. My struggle comes around our use of CDC within the community. I find there are very specific times that CDC is required when there is, as we've used it before, a contentious issue before the area, and there's absolutely no way it's getting moved forward. Then you got to step up and make a choice. This, I don't feel, is necessarily a CDC issue. I understand some struggles around the institutional zoning, but I do feel it was institutional for about 20 years or longer in the past, and we're just putting it back there again. It's been residential and C4. Unfortunately, it wasn't properly zoned for probably 20 years or so.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, institutional prior to that. So I don't know if CDC is the right way to go with this, and that is my concern. I think it would be better suited as an institutional rather than a CDC.
So council direct control district, it does state that it provides for developments that could not be effectively accommodated on any other land use district, but it also mentions unique characteristics or necessity for innovative ideas, as well as unusual site constraints as determined by council. Those are the different types of things that could be covered under CDC.
I understand that, but there is a zoning that is appropriate. That's institutional. It's not a site-specific issue. It can be in this area.
Mhm.
And it's not exactly so unique that nothing else applies. So
Yeah.
this is where I'm struggling with the
Yeah, I
CDC
think
part.
part of the problem with the specific location of this property is that it does buffer residential, and that we need to also consider the future of the property. So if somebody else comes in and then they want to do something else with it, then we have to rezone it to accommodate their needs again. And that zoning that they're looking for may not it may not fit in a residential area. So then that's where your CDC could come in. Where council has the discretion to consider the application at that point. That's why
But using
CDC was
that-
originally,
I understand that, but using that
project.
argument over utilization of CDC in this way,
Mhm.
we might as well just make everything CDC. The point of having these zones and having those permitted uses within them is it enables us to give stability to the area for development. The CDC causes, in my opinion, problems just because it does have to become for council and depends who it is at the day and what the flavor is. And then in this situation, I think there is a way to do it. You are abutting two residential properties there directly. You got an alley in between one and the other. So you only have one on the side with trees and you've got the garage separating. Now, the existing building, I understand, is not necessarily going to be there forever. But within the guidelines under institutional, they still have their more restrictive building requirements, is it not, than it is, say, for a C1?
in regards to size or,
Size, offsets.
yeah, so.
Any of those kind of barriers. So I think even in the future, I think whatever goes there, if it's within the institutional section, would still be protected for the residential area, just as it was when it was an RCMP station.
Yeah, institutional does say that they need a site containing a place. Sorry, no, I did look it up while we were on other things were happening on, and it does mention that the size and the required front, side and rear yard setbacks shall be equivalent to the building height, except that the principal building setback shall not be less than the minimum requirements of an abutting residential district. So they have to be at least the height of the building. And I don't know if the current building on the one side meets that side setback.
Oh, you mean on the east side? You
You
mean on the east side,
I'm
closest to the
thinking-
hospital,
No, the other side.
back alley?
No, the west side of the building that goes along the street.
Oh,
I don't think the
well,
height
you
of
got
the
the
building.
whole, yeah, it's
But a variance could be offered on that. I'm not saying there isn't a mechanism. I'm just saying.
yeah, someone else can talk.
Yep,
about that.
Counselor Gramlich.
I think there's probably other options, but this is the one that was chosen and we started down the road with, and it has merit to it. None of the residents around it have complained, so there's zero issue with it for me on my end, so I'll just make the second motion. I'll move that bylaw number 06-2025, which amends the land use district map of the land use bylaw by bylaw, I think it's supposed to say by, but it says by redistricting, there's a spelling error there. As follows: Lot 1, Block 11, Plan 5521 KS from C4 Neighborhood Commercial to CDC Council Direct Control District receives second reading.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. Do we have any further discussion from council? Counselor Adams.
I would like to hear from the rest of council on their thoughts of a CDC, another CDC zone within the community, and when there is a districting that's perfectly applicable.
I will weigh in. I've got some notes and then I can let the other ones, the other counselors weigh in as well. Question though, before I continue, with regards to Counselor Adams' suggestion to rezone to institutional, the current operations, aside from the home care facility, do they fit under the institutional designation?
They fit the current operations of the office.
Yeah.
A medical office for outpatient use could apply, yes.
Okay, that was my one question.
And
there.
that office use applies under the C4. That's why they can operate there currently.
Because of the office use. So I believe that CDC makes sense here, and I don't believe we should change the whole town to CDC. I think that also creates chaos, and I think having clear designations does promote future development. That being said, we've got a town that was built in an interesting fashion, and we have certain areas such as the airport and such of things that we may have wished now to be in different places. This building has obviously been here for a very long time and is, I think, a unique location with the community. And it's come up a couple of times, at least at this council table, with regards to the use of it. I think CDC makes sense here because it's council whatever council it is, who's accountable to our taxpayers. So if the council at this table is, we're accountable to our taxpayers, so I believe that this use for the building should also be based on who's at this table and who we're representing, just because of its location. I think it makes sense. And there will also be with CDC other permitted uses, but it is council that then has to answer to taxpayers if the use in the future, if it isn't home care and or CDP home care and disability services, if it's something else that council has approved, that have to answer to the public for that. So I do like that for this, it is a unique location. I think there's a huge need in the community for this. So I think that's just a given for all of us. We know that Sweetgrass is full, and we know that the senior center is full, and we know that our current home care AHS isn't able to accommodate the full needs of the community. I just saw that on the housing board today with a call that I've been on with regards to that. So I believe it is needed, and with regards to palliative care as well. The hospital is a couple blocks away, so I don't see a huge impact in the neighborhood because we already have long-term care there. I think this is actually probably one of the more peaceful uses of that. With regards to the CDC, just talking to the property and not the intended use, because I don't think anyone at this table thinks that the intended use is going to be a problem. I think this property, because of its location, is incredibly unique. You've got a business that essentially residential has fully enclosed, and I do think that council should be the ones to determine what goes there, because then we're accountable to the taxpayers in that neighborhood. And I think it's important regardless of institutional, commercial, C1, C4, council should be able to determine who should go there because of its impact to the neighborhood. And while institutional is generally appropriate, maybe there is something that would fall under institutional that council would not be comfortable with the residents in that area having beside them. I don't know, like for instance, institutional would allow for a police station to be there because that's ultimately what it was before, but I don't know that would be the best location given high traffic in and out. So there's certain things and uses under institutional that I don't know would necessarily be appropriate there. And that is my long-winded explanation of my opinion on that. And I'll go to Councillor Chova.
Thank you. I think when I think about it, I can understand where Councillor Adams is coming from, but one of the purpose of CDC's districting is necessity for innovative ideas, and I think what they're doing will fall under innovative ideas because they're bringing in a solution to something that or to our community that will be welcomed, and so I think it does fit that CDC, and I will be willing to support the CDC redistricting, or CDC council direct control district for this particular area, just because of that.
Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, so I actually agree. I made some notes at the very beginning here, actually during the public hearing as well, just about the unique situation that this essentially resides in. Normally, I wouldn't want us to be throwing CDC around by any means, but I also do feel that it fits the use and this purpose at this point in time. Because like we said, we have the abutting residential all around there. We have to be careful with what type of business goes in there. We have to protect the residents in there and kind of the integrity in that area of our community. So for that specific reason, I definitely support this as well. And you make a good point as well. It's also about the ability to oversee current and future use of that space. And I think this is the best designation that allows us to do that and continues to protect the residents. So I'm in favor.
Councillor Adams.
One last statement, that we seem to be taking snippets of what the general purpose of the CDC is. That we're, like you're saying, unique properties, we're saying land use characteristics and the innovative ideas. That's all, yes, within the CDC, but it also states to provide for developments that could not be effectively accommodated under any other land use district. This is accommodated under a land use district. So for us to just pick one and go to a CDC because we don't like what maybe the future or way down the road may be under discretionary uses, I don't think is appropriate. I think we have a very specific one that is applicable to this situation. It's institutional. If we choose not to move forward with institutional, then I would say the answer is then it doesn't change from C4. But to just randomly start putting the CDCs in certain spots that we want as council to have control over, I think is wrong.
Counselor Gramlich.
Joanna, this was chosen because would have needed a variance, yes? So it doesn't fit unless a variance was granted to the institutional?
We would have to provide some variances. in the
Yeah,
building,
so
but
this was probably the easiest way forward for the user group to,
It also protects the integrity of the neighborhood in the aspect of should any intensification of the site happen, that we wouldn't that wouldn't just be something that could just be done. There would be a process of development permits having to come to be approved at council's table versus it going through.
it's blanketed then and it opens the door for a variety of things to go there. And
Yeah.
that's probably not the best spot for anything other than residential, but it's there and it exists. So this is a good mechanism to protect that.
And off the top of my head, I can think of maybe two locations in the town that are currently developed that are zone CDC. And outside of that, the other CDC designations within the town boundaries are all undeveloped vacant land that are zone CDC for the progress of if somebody ever comes in and wants to put in a subdivision or something of any type or sort.
Any further discussion from council? There's a motion on the floor. All right, called to question those in favor. All those opposed, and that is carried. Councillor Choba.
I'd like to move that bylaw number 06-2025, which amends the land use district map of the land use bylaw by redistricting as follows: lot number 1, block 11, plan 5521 KS from C4 neighborhood commercial to CDC council direct control district, receive third reading.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Called to question those in favor. All those opposed, and that is carried. Okay, thank you, Joanna. And your next report.
I'm still here.
Yes, you are still here. I just realized that. That was, thank you, and continue with the next report.
Continue
please.
on. So this is purpose of this report is for council to give bylaw 09/2025 first reading to set the date for the required public hearing. So this is our own application. This is for the lots on 13th Street in the southwest in Fournier Place. So those are lots 30 to 46 at block 1, plan 1222039. So the proposal seeks to rezone the subject lands from R3 high density residential district to RPSL residential plan small lot district to facilitate future development of detached dwelling units on these lots. This rezoning aligns with the goal of increasing housing density in the community. In accordance with section 230, subsection 1 of the MGA, town council must give bylaw number 5/2025 first reading and hold the required public hearing prior to passing the resolution, pardon me. In accordance with the municipal land use plan map or the municipal development plan, the subject lands maintain a residential and general urban land use designation, and as such, an amendment to the MDP is not required. In accordance with the land use district map of the land use bylaw number 22/2007, the subject lands maintain an R3 high density residential district, and as such requires an amendment. The Municipal Planning Commission will review this application at its April 7th, 2025 meeting, and as such, their recommendation is forthcoming. This bylaw is introduced to council for first reading and to set the date for the required public hearing. Only one plan amendment is required for this application. And the proposal to redistrict the subject lands from R3 high density residential district to RPSL residential plan small lot district aligns with the regulations outlined in the Town of Slave Lake land use bylaw. The lots proposed for redistricting meet the required lot size standards for detached residential development as specified by the bylaw. So council must give bylaw 09/2025 first reading and hold the required public hearing before passing a resolution. However, this application is being brought forward by the town of Slave Lake, so council may amend or defeat the bylaw prior to holding the required public hearing. Notice of the public hearing for bylaw 9/2025 will be advertised on the town's website and social media platforms for a period of 4 weeks. In addition, referral letters will be sent to all adjacent property owners. And at this time, the planning department has no concerns with this application and recommends council give bylaw 09/2025 first reading and scheduled the required public hearing for April 15th, 2025.
Counselor Hughes.
I move that bylaw 09/2025 to amend the land use district map of the land use bylaw 222007 by redistricting Plan 1222039, Block 1, lots 29 through to 46, from R3 High Density Residential District to RPSL Residential Plan Small Lot District, receives first reading and the required public hearing be scheduled for April 15th, 2025.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you.
You should, which properties were those against? In that motion?
It's a very long list. Okay, we have a report regarding the council meeting schedule. Alex or Ashley, which,
Got it.
okay, perfect.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the purpose of this report is to accept the amended council meeting schedule. So the council meetings are scheduled at the annual organizational meeting of council. This Town of Slave Lake Council schedule has recently been adjusted with the rescheduling of regular council meetings. As a good practice, administration is bringing back the 2024-2025 calendar to accept as information. Administration is providing the updated council meeting schedule with the addition of cancellation of the April 1st regular council meeting. The cancellation is due to the upcoming housing conference. The members of council will be attending. This will impact quorum, and as a result, the meeting will not be able to proceed. So if the cancellation occurs, it'll be posted on the Town of Slave Lake social media avenues. Any questions?
Counselor Choba.
I'd like to move to accept the 2024 to 2025 meeting schedule as amended.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question. Those in favor? And that is carried. Moving right along into question period. Do we have anything for administration? Quiet week. Then we'll move forward into correspondence. So in our package, we've received a copy of the letter on behalf of High Prairie Council. So this is just for our information in support of Scott Sinclair and advocacy for Northern Alberta. The town of Slave Lake issued a similar letter, as did MD 124 and the MD of Big Lakes, all which are on their respective social media sites. I won't go into reading this, although it is very well written. I won't go into reading it now because it's in the package. And we appreciate the united front that municipalities in the north here are bringing forth with regards to our MLA. Counselor Adams.
Motion to accept as information.
Further discussion, call to question. Those in favor, and that is carried. Moving forth into the state of the lake, anything from council? Okay, quiet week. We like a quiet week. Okay. Counselor Adams.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Further discussion, call to question. Those in favor, and that is carried. Counselor Hughes.
I would like to move to appoint Kim McConnell to the Slave Lake Library Board for the term of March 18th, 2025 until October 17th, 2028.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Counselor Choba.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Any further discussion? No. Call to question those in favor.